Hi everyone. In this lecture video, we will just going to continue with our example for the CVP sensitivity analysis. In our example, the company produces and sells a product with the following information: a unit sales price of 60, unit variable cost, which we will going to define, and a unit contribution margin. So we can derive the unit variable cost, and that will be 60 less 38 pesos. Then we have 22 pesos here. Let's compute for this contribution margin rate. We have 38 divided by 60, then we can get a contribution margin rate of 63%. Next is that we will compute for the budgeted sales in units, in which we will use a tax rate of 40% and a total fixed cost amounting to 472. For additional information, there will be a replacement in a component that costs 3.5 pesos with a higher grade unit that costs 6 pesos, and there will be a machinery amounting to 765,000 pesos that will be depreciated over 10 years useful life, and the company would want to earn an after-tax income of 170 to 800. Take note that we are looking for, or our objective here is the after-tax income of 170 to 800. Let us first define the problem. Since we have here an after-tax income of 170 to 800, then our tax rate is 40%. We will going to compute for the before tax income. And how we should compute for the before tax income? So if the before tax income here is 100%, then our tax rate is 40%, then our after-tax income is 60%. So to bring it back to 100% value, 170 to 800 divided by 0.6 or 60%, that will give you 288,000 pesos. 288,000 pesos less 172,800, that will give you 115,200. So our tax here is 115,200. Our before tax income is 288,000. Now let's try to compute for the other things. The unit variable cost will going to increase by how much? So since we are replacing a 3.5 unit by a 6 pesos per unit, then understandably 6 less 3.5, our unit variable cost will going to increase by 2.5 pesos per unit. Then lastly, we have here the acquired machinery that will be depreciated over a 10-year life. So this is 765,000 divided by 10 years. So every year, you're going to increase your total fixed cost by 76,500. So our total fixed cost here will not going to be 472,000 anymore, but we will going to add 76,500. So let's have a comparison of the before the adjustment and after the adjustment. Since there will be no movement for the unit sales price, we will going to retain 60 pesos. Next is our unit variable cost. A while ago, it's 22 pesos per unit, but there will be an increase by 2.5 peso per unit. So we will going to write here 22 pesos, then 22 plus 2.5. So that will be 24.5. A while ago, our contribution margin is 38 pesos. But since our new unit variable cost is now 24.5, there will be a change in the unit contribution margin. And that will be 38 for the before and 35.5 for the after any adjustments. Now let's try to get the total fixed cost. So our before total fixed cost will be amounting to 472,000. But since we are going to add up the 76,500 depreciation, so the total fixed cost will going to increase. Let's write it here, 472,000. Then in this case, 472,000 plus the depreciation, 76,500. So our new total fixed cost is 548,500. Now, to answer the problem, it requires us to compute for the number of units the company must sell to maintain the same profit before the improvement. So, our profit that we're going to use is the before tax profit. And our before tax profit, remember, it is 288,000 pesos. So, profit before tax, 288,000 pesos. Now that we have the profit before tax and the total fixed cost, we can now be able to compute for the total contribution margin. Now that we have the profit before tax and the total fixed cost, we can now be able to compute for the total contribution margin. The total contribution margin here is different from the unit contribution margin, wherein we will going now to consider the number of units. So if this is our end goal, 488,000, then we have a total fixed cost of 472,000. So our total contribution margin for the before any increase or decrease or any adjustment is 760,000. For the after adjustment, it's 288,000 plus 548,500. You should be able to get 836,500. And this total contribution margin, it will be divided to the unit contribution margin to get the number of units sold. So that will be 760,000 divided by 38 pesos, which is our contribution margin. For the before any adjustment, we need to sell 20,000 units for us to get the before tax profit of 288,000 pesos. For the after adjustment, for us to get the number of units sold or needed to be sold for us to get the profit before tax of 288, so let's have here 836,500 divided by the unit contribution margin of 35.5, you're going to get 23,563.38, or let's round it up to 23,564 units. To summarize, if there will be an increase in the unit variable cost and there will be an increase in the total fixed cost, therefore our expectation is that there will be an increase to the number of units if we are targeting the same goal on the before scenario. That's it for our lecture video for today. Thank you all for watching.